Hey, and welcome back to Eric Dunn Music. Today I'm going to be doing a book review for you. This one is called Extreme Ownership. The book is written by Jocko, Willink, and Leif, Babin. Excellent book. What it does is it draws from their combat experience while fighting in Iraq. So each chapter will go over a leadership principle, but first it'll go through a combat story and then relate that story to a business principle which they help businesses to achieve. So we're going to start off with the title of the book and really where the book begins with the idea of extreme ownership. Extreme ownership, the idea behind it is that if you're going to be a great leader, you can't point your finger at somebody else if something goes wrong. It means that you own up and take responsibility for everything that goes good with your group and everything that goes bad as well. I know for myself personally, I have had some opportunities to implement this. Even just recently, I had an experience where, as a band director, an event was scheduled and planned, and as the event got close, it turned out that our event site was double booked. So now I had a choice to make. Either I could say that this was someone else's fault, or I could realize that under the principle of extreme ownership, this is something I have to make sure that I get right next time. I've got to communicate better. So that's the idea of extreme ownership. It goes all the way through the book. And let's move on to the next idea. The next idea is that there are no bad teams. There are just bad leaders. They tell a really neat story about when they were part of the process of training Navy SEALs. They had one group that was winning over and over and over again, and another group that would lose every single time. And so what they did was they took the leader from the team that won every time and the leader from the team that lost every time, and they switched them. And when they switched them, the group that lost every time now won, and the other group that was winning every time did okay, but they came back a lot, proving really that it isn't the group, but it's the leader that needs to take responsibility. If your group isn't performing well, if my group is not performing well on stage or wherever, that is my responsibility, because there are no bad groups, they're just bad leaders. The next thing that they went over is that you have to believe in the mission of your group or your organization. Not only do you have to believe in it, but you have to be able to articulate that belief to the people in your group and get them to believe it as well. Very important. And then next, obviously, you have to check your ego. Hey, you don't have the corner on every good idea that there ever was. Other people have good ideas, and you have to dial them back the ego and listen to what other people have to say. Next, keep your plans simple and easy to articulate. He tells stories about businesses who had these really elaborate plans that they were going to make their organization better, but when they talked to the people in the group, no one in the group could really understand how to implement these things. You've got to be able to understand and articulate well your plans, and to do that, they need to be simple. Next, this. First thing first, second thing second. Sometimes you're going to get in a situation you feel a bit overwhelmed. They tell a great story about being in Iraq in a situation. They got pinned down. It really looked somewhat hopeless. And then he realized they needed to just decide what they were going to do first. You got to decide what you're going to do first. You got to be decisive about it and make your first move. Not try to go 5 directions at the same time. We get in trouble because we try to go too many directions at the same time. You can't do it all, which brings us to the next idea. You cannot do it all. You have to decentralize. I know for me, that was something I'm learning more and more. They say that you really can only connect and lead someone directly. You can only lead about 6 to 10 people directly. So what you need to do is you need to break your group down, and you need to have leaders that are leading small groups that are then reporting back to you. Learned that a lot with my band lately, getting a lot of small leaders to do things. Also have seen that in the church that I go to. They have small leaders, small groups of leaders who then report back to the large leadership. You need to plan well. You need to articulate the plan. We've really mentioned that already, but you have to make sure that you've done the planning before you can articulate the planning. And then you have to be able to lead up and down. So when we think of leadership, we really, most of the time, just think about leading down. We think about people that are responsible to us, and we have to be leading them well. But what we fail to understand is we have to lead up as well. What does that mean? Well, it means sometimes our bosses, they make demands on us. They tell us to do things, and it bothers us. And the reason it bothers us is because they're not getting the communication they need. They're not getting from us what they need to know. And so they burden us maybe with extra paperwork or meetings, things like that. So what you need to do is you have to communicate up and down. So down is easy, you sort of know that already. But so for me, this means that maybe weekly, certainly monthly, I have to be communicating up to my principal what's going on in my program, what I'm excited about, what I'm doing. And that keeps the principal understanding that I'm moving forward, and it keeps them from worrying about me. And the last thing, really to me, it's a basic principle for all leaderships. You have to be decisive. You have to take a direction and a stand, and you have to go that way. That's extreme ownership, sort of in a nutshell there. Thanks for clicking over and watching the video. If you'd like to see more of these videos, I have another one that you can watch. Feel free to like and subscribe. It's always great being able to have this opportunity to talk to you. Thank you. Thanks.